Francis Ngannou knocked out Renan Ferreira in the PFL's Battle of Giants. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That was an incredible performance by Francis Ngannou. He did what he needed to do to win this fight. The other guy was so tall and so rangy that it looked like it might have been hard for Ngannou, or would have been hard for Ngannou to establish his range and to be able to hit the guy without being hit himself. And Ngannou shot in a perfect takedown, and he was able to get Renan down, who struggled to get back up. He attempted a triangle, and Ngannou was able to escape, and he ground and pounds this guy until he is knocked out cold. Jeez. He was out cold. And I have to say it was one of the best if not the best performance he could have had to return back into an MMA situation. He basically picked up where he left off when he defeated Cyril Gane that time ago as a UFC champion. And since then, he had lost 2 fights in boxing, one to Tyson Fury by decision, and another one to Anthony Joshua by way of brutal knockout where he was flatlined. He had oxygen and everything put on him. And at that point, one could have assumed or concluded that departing from the UFC from a legacy standpoint might not have been a good idea, because he would have failed in boxing and would have failed again in the PFL had he lost this fight. PFL MMA. But he got the job done in an incredible fashion. He essentially picked up right where he left off before he went into boxing, and the world's his oyster. He could go into boxing and fight Deontay Wilder. I actually think he wins that fight. He weighs significantly more than Wilder. And Wilder throws very meaty hooks. And Ngannou's punches might even be straighter than Wilder's. I don't know. They might be. And he's bigger. He might actually win that fight. I would say that he performed better against Tyson Fury than Wilder did in the second and third fights, possibly, likely. So he can do that, or he can stay in the PFL and likely dominate. Who in the PFL is going to give him a fight? Even if they put Fabricio Verdum in there, Junior Dos Santos, Francis is probably going to be way too much for these guys. That from the challenge standpoint, that might be a situation where he wants to go into boxing. But if he just wants to pick up easy money, he can likely stay in the PFL and continue fighting and winning. He really did not sustain any real significant damage from this fight, I don't think. He walked out of there pretty unscathed, which is the best situation always. So good for him. Congratulations to Francis. And I have not necessarily given him an easy run, Francis. I did not like initially when because it seemed to me Like, people would just assume that he would murk Stipe on a trilogy if they fought, that he would have absolutely murked Derek Lewis if they fought on a rematch, even though he lost the first fight and then didn't fight him the second time because he was allegedly asked to fight Derek Lewis in June and August, maybe even in September, and allegedly uh, didn't want to fight in those states. So that fight never materialized. So I did not think that it was fair to just assume that Francis would defeat Derek Lewis when he had not done it. I did not think that it was fair to just assume that he would win the trilogy against Stipe when they were 1-1. Francis had his shot to correct the mistakes he made on the first fight. Let's give Stipe the chance to correct his mistakes that he made on the second fight, where he needed to gain some muscle and this and that. But Francis today looked like a world beater. He looked like a world beater today. And right now, he won a PFL championship. So again, congratulations to Francis Ngannou. Like and subscribe, guys. We need to increase our subscriber count.